Hi everyone, and welcome to the Sustainable Library. So today we're talking about food waste, and I thought it was a good idea to introduce you guys to my favorite food waste minimizer tool, and that is a Bokashi bin. So the Bokashi bin is perfect if you want to do some food composting for all your food scraps, but like us, you live in a flat, you don't have a garden, you just don't have space to do normal composting. I call myself a little bit of a compost lady because I've become slightly obsessed with it. But that's because it's so easy with a Bokashi bin. And I've converted a few people in my family to go this route. So I hope today I'll be able to convince you to get a Bokashi bin as well. So today I'll be taking you through the steps of what you get when you get a Bokashi bin, how to set it up, and how to actually put your food waste into it. And then I'll also talk a little bit about what we do with our food waste after it comes out of the Bokashi bin. So yeah, let's jump in. So the first thing I'd suggest when you start with your Bokashi and you start looking into it is to buy 2 Bokashis. The reason for this is the best way I found for a Bokashi to work is actually filling one up, letting it rest for a few weeks, and then filling another one up. And then when this one is full, you actually take it and you put it into your compost pile, and then you have another one. So you kind of swap them out. So some really important tips with a Bokashi bin. Firstly, do not leave them in the sun. We found that if you leave them in the sun or any warm, humid space like a garage, if you live in a very humid, warm place, you're basically not going to get your Bokashi tea, which is the ultimate thing you want to get from your Bokashi bin. And secondly, if it's really cold as well, like exceptionally cold, like here in the UK during December months, December, January, you will also have slightly less tea, just because the process, the fermentation process, is going to take slightly longer. So those are 2 things to keep in mind. After your Bokashi bin is full, a good thing to do is to have some kind of container that you can then add all your Bokashi or your food scraps that were in your Bokashi, add it all in there and leave it to start with the real composting process. So what we are looking at doing is actually buying some worms and putting them in there to help with the process, but you can just also leave it in there and leave it to compost by itself. It's going to take a while, but it'll get there. So yeah, and the big thing is once you've put it into that container, you leave it for a certain amount of time until you see it literally becomes like black gold, you know, it literally becomes like compost. And you can then use that in your flower pots. If you have a garden, you can use that. And I know I've had some people ask me, but what if I have too much and you know, it's too much for my few pots that I have? Well, some suggestions that I have in terms of that is to find out if there's a local allotment or gardening community anywhere near you, and find out if you can donate your compost to them, or ask around in your neighborhood, ask some neighbors. Sometimes some schools have veggie gardens. So yeah, so the best thing is to possibly just ask around in your community, maybe ask on Facebook or any other communities that you have, and see who you can donate the excess amount to. There will always be someone who needs good organic compost. So what do you get when you buy a Bokashi bin? So firstly, you'll get the bin. Inside it, you'll get a little tray with holes in it, and this needs to go right at the bottom of your Bokashi bin. So I'll show you guys a video of that or a picture of that in a little bit. Then you'll also get this little thingy, and basically this is what you use to squash down all of your content inside your Bokashi bin. The key to the bokashi is to really compress everything that's inside. Sometimes I ask my husband to do it because he's just so much stronger, and the more you compress, the better it is, because it lets all the air out, and it really helps with that fermentation process. So yeah, very important. Then you also get this little tool. So this gets used in conjunction with your bokashi bran. So usually when you buy a bokashi bin, you'll get a big bag of bran like this. So don't make the mistake to think, oh, this is so little. This is a lot, and it's gonna last you a long time, I promise you. Well, it should at least. So there's a bit of a discussion around how much bokashi bin you should use, but some say 20 milliliters and some say 50. So we've tested it out, and we kind of got to the good middle ground of about 40 milliliters. So basically, if I can show you on here, that's about there. That's so little. Every time you do it, you just scoop out some of your bokashi bran and sift it over the top, and that's literally all you need to do. And then the last thing you get is this little bucket tool, and obviously it's not full when you get it, but this is what you want to get out of your bokashi tea. It's like golden goodness. It's wonderful. It smells, well, the thing is, if you don't like the smell of compost, then you're not gonna like this. It smells very earthy, and it is quite strong because it's very concentrated. But I quite like this smell, so because I like earthy smells like that. So basically, yeah, this is what you want to get out of your bokashi. And once you have your bokashi tea, you can then use this as a form of plant food for any of your plants. So basically, I keep it in a little bottle, and every time I water any of my plants in the house or outside, I add a tiny little bit into the water, because you have to dilute it. It's very concentrated and very strong, and if you put too much on your plants, they can die. So yeah, just be careful. So you dilute it and put it in your water, and you can just, give your plants some plant food. I've also heard that it's quite good to use as a drain cleaner, so you can try that as well. So this is one of my full bokashis, so let's see if we get any tea out of this one. Oh yes, a little bit. So it wasn't that much coming out, but we did get a little bit out. And basically, once you've got your tea out there, it's important to just always close this, otherwise you'll have tea leaking out. And yeah, then you have your tea. Don't be discouraged if you don't get a large amount of tea every single time. That is okay, because like I said, this is quite concentrated. So yeah. So here we have a full bokashi bin. And this is what the full bokashi bin goodness looks like. So this brown stuff on top is the bokashi bran. And I added all of this in here about a week ago. And as you can see, no mold, no, yucky, bad stuff growing anywhere because of the bran. I am doing an experiment with the stickers that you get on the banana peels, because I've been told by people that they're supposedly biodegradable. So I'm seeing if that's true. I will keep you guys in the loop on that. So yeah, that is my bokashi. This is a full one, and I wouldn't recommend making it any fuller than this, filling it up any higher, just because you don't want to overdo it, you don't want to put too much in. So when your bokashi bin is about this full, so you probably have about, that much space left in your bokashi bin, I'd say all good. Take your lid and close this boy up. So a really good tip for your bokashi bin once you close it up, and to make sure it's actually like locked well, is to open your tap at the bottom and then press down and try and get all the air out of your bin, and then close it up. Obviously, it works much better if you have two hands to do it. And Nancy, I'm holding the camera, I don't. But yeah, so try get all the air out of your bokashi so it's kind of like sucked in here, and then you close your tap over here. I found that to work quite well. And here is our empty bokashi bin. So we literally just took this one and put all the content into our composting bin. So as you can see, it's still quite dirty, but there is no mold. There's no yucky stuff growing anywhere. So that just goes to show how well the bokashi works. This down here is a little tray that I was talking about, and basically everything lies on top of this tray. All of your food waste lies on top of this, and then the juice basically goes through the holes and goes down to the bottom, and then comes out here at your tap. So that's basically how it's done. I'm quickly gonna clean this one, so I'll do that with you guys. Basically, you just rinse it out. It's not hard, and you don't have to scrub it clean because also there's no like mold or anything in it. So yeah, let's quickly do that. As you can see, that was pretty simple, pretty easy to do, even in a little kitchen. You don't even have to go outside. Obviously, if you have a hose and you can spray it clean, great. If you don't, just do what I did now. Like I said, it doesn't have to be 100% clean. Just get like the big bits out of there. So now the fun starts, the actual food waste. So what you'll need when you start working with your actual food waste is some shears or hedge clippers. You can also use some scissors. I've just found that these work better for bigger fruit and veg and things. I've also had a friend say she might start using her food processor, which is quite a good idea as well, I think. But yeah, and then in your kitchen, have something like a little tiny bin that you can fill up and that you can then use to transfer into your bokashi, because I don't know, I don't have time to do this every day, so I do it like twice a week, and we put everything in here during the day and then I transfer it into the bokashi. So yeah, so I'm going to show you how I do that now. So the first step when you start a new bokashi is basically to use a little bit of bokashi bran. So remember, that's about 40 milliliters. It's about right, you can see there. And you sprinkle it at the bottom of your bokashi bin. Just kind of equally sprinkle it all over, and there we go. And then we're ready to start adding in our food scraps. So the best one to actually demonstrate this with is with your banana peels. And that's because for the bokashi to work really well, it's always better to cut your peels and your cuttings into smaller pieces. So basically I just take my shears and start cutting through. I have found banana peels that are quite black and rotten are quite hard to cut through. So sometimes you just kind of tear them apart a little bit. There we go. That kind of thing. Orange peels. Some people say you shouldn't put orange peels on your compost heap. I don't know. We shall still add them in. We just try cut them into smaller pieces. I mean, it doesn't have to be way smaller. It's just don't put something this big into your bokashi basically. And just cut it up slightly so that it just makes the process a little bit easier. So we also put our tea leaves, as you can see here. We put our tea leaves into our bokashi as well, even though they're wet. We found it's completely fine. So, you know, I'll just put that in there and sometimes sprinkle it in or whatever. The one thing to remember, here we have a nice apple thing. And yeah, so you can put that in. The one thing to remember with bokashi is you need to be okay with kind of getting your hands dirty. It's not always nice, but you kind of get used to it and then it kind of, you know, becomes nice. So yeah, so I'm gonna quickly put some of this in and then I'll meet you guys in a little bit. So there we go. As you can see, we have been eating a lot of bananas and oranges, keeping up our vitamins and staying healthy. So yeah, so that's all in there. And now we're just going to put our bokashi bran on top. So once you've got your bokashi bran, basically just start sprinkling it all over. Just try get it as equal as you possibly can. You don't have to coat everything. Yeah, coat everything. So you can see it's just a light sprinkling. And the next tool we're gonna need is our stomper. So then you just start literally compressing it all together. And if you've got things like eggshells in here, like we do, then you can hear it all kind of squashing together. So I'm just quickly gonna finish doing that. So as you can see, it's all compressed and squashed. So we'll just take our lid, put it on top, make sure it's sealed all the way at the bottom. Open our little, oh, see, we still had some water in there. So that's why you should always have your little thing at the bottom, but we'll clean that up. So squeeze it all out and close it up. And there we go. So there we go. And our bokashi bin is ready for another week. And we can fill up our pot, our little house bin. And yeah, we can just add it all in here then. So yeah, that's basically what it takes to have a bokashi bin. It's super easy and doesn't take up a lot of space in your house. And yeah, I really love it. So I hope I've convinced you to go down the bokashi bin route. And let me know in the comments below how you find bokashi bin life. I'd love to know. And yeah, let me know if you have any other suggestions around composting. As always, like and subscribe to my page if you will, please, and leave any comments below. I'd love to interact and get to know you guys better. So until next time then, let's live sustainably. And let me go clean up this mess before my husband gets home.